didn't mean to scroll for an hour. You didn't plan to eat the whole thing. You didn't intend to keep refreshing, waiting for something that you couldn't even name. And yet, you did. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a small, quiet question formed. Why can't I just stop? The answer isn't willpower. It isn't discipline. It's something older, something deeper, something running beneath every choice you think you're making. Think about the last time you felt genuinely satisfied. Not stimulated, not distracted. Satisfied. It's harder to remember than it should be, because most of your day isn't spent doing things that fulfill you. It's spent chasing things that promise to. The next video, the next meal, the next notification, the next version of your life that begins Monday. This is what psychologists call reward-seeking behavior. And it isn't a modern invention. It's an ancient program. Your brain evolved over millions of years in an environment of scarcity. Food was rare. Connection was survival. Progress meant life. So your brain built a system to make you hunger for things before you have them, to make the chase feel more urgent than the catch. This system has a name, and you've heard it before, but probably not in the way that actually explains your life. Here's what most people get wrong about dopamine. They think it's the pleasure chemical, the reward, the hit. But neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz discovered something that changed everything. Dopamine doesn't spike when you get the reward. It spikes in anticipation of it, in the moment before, in the reaching, in the not yet. Which means your brain isn't wired for satisfaction, it's wired for wanting. And here's the quiet, important truth in that. You are not broken, you are not weak, you are not failing at being human. You are running software that was never designed for a world of infinite scroll, 24-hour delivery, and notifications engineered by behavioral scientists. The system isn't malfunctioning, it's working exactly as designed, just pointed at the wrong things. Let's go deeper. Imagine your brain has a thermostat, not for temperature, but for stimulation. When dopamine spikes from a notification, a snack, a compliment, a win, your brain doesn't simply enjoy it, it recalibrates. It adjusts what feels normal, and suddenly yesterday's level of stimulation feels flat, quiet, almost uncomfortable. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. Neuroscientists call it dopamine baseline dysregulation. You can just call it the treadmill. The faster it spins, the faster you have to run just to feel like you're standing still. This is why the phone feels necessary, why silence feels wrong, why being alone with your thoughts has started to feel like a punishment rather than a rest. Your baseline has drifted. The things that used to bring quiet joy, a walk, a conversation, a book, a meal without a screen, no longer register as rewarding. Not because they've changed, because your thermostat has. And here's where it gets interesting. Every time you resist the pull, every time you sit with the discomfort of not reaching, you are not just making a choice, you are physically retraining the thermostat. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for long-term thinking, values, identity, is in a constant negotiation with the limbic system, the ancient, emotional, dopamine-hungry parts that only speaks in now. Most people live entirely in the limbic voice, but you can learn to strengthen the other one. There are 4 principles that can recalibrate the thermostat. Not hacks, not shortcuts, principles grounded in how the brain actually changes. Principle 1. Friction is medicine. Behavioral pathologist B.J. Fogg found that behavior follows the path of least resistance. So the solution isn't motivation, it's friction. Make the dopamine-cheap things harder to reach. Put distance between you and the scroll. Put the phone in another room. Log out. Not because you can't handle it, but because your brain deserves a moment to choose before the habit fires. Principle 2. Dopamine fasting, but gently. The concept of a dopamine fast, popularized by psychiatrist Cameron Seppa, isn't about punishing yourself with sensory deprivation. It's about intentional intervals of low stimulation. A morning without the phone, a walk without headphones, a meal without a screen. In these quiet windows, your brain begins to restore its sensitivity to smaller, quieter rewards. Joy becomes easier to access. Presence becomes less effortful. Principle 3. The delay. Between impulse and action, there is a window. It is small, sometimes just seconds. But research by neuroscientist Antonio Damasio shows that people who learn to pause in that window make decisions more aligned with their values and feel less regret. You don't have to fight the impulse, just delay it. 10 minutes, then decide. Often, you won't need. Principle 4. Replace, don't remove. Your brain doesn't respond well to telling yourself don't reach for the phone activates the exact neural pathway you're trying to quiet.
Instead, replace. When the hand moves toward the screen, redirect it towards something that costs effort but returns meaning. A notebook, a stretch, a breath. Psychologist Anne Grabiel's research on habit loops shows that the cue, routine, reward structure can be rewired, not by removing the cue, but by substituting the routine. The craving for stimulation is real, just redirected somewhere that grows you.
Section 6. Integration. Here is the simple mental model that holds all of this together. Think of dopamine not as a reward, but as a compass. A compass doesn't tell you you've arrived. It tells you which way to move. The problem is, when the compass is overwhelmed by cheap signals, it starts spinning, pointing everywhere, meaning nowhere. Recalibrating your dopamine system is just this: quieting the noise so the compass can find north again. That's it. Not self-punishment, not radical restriction, just less noise and more space to hear what you actually want. Section 7. Quiet, empowering close. You are not addicted to your phone. You are not lazy. You are not lacking discipline. You are a human brain navigating a world that was engineered to keep your compass spinning. And becoming aware of that, right now, in this moment, is not a small thing. Awareness is the first recalibration. The next time you feel the pull, the reach, the scroll, the something I can't name, pause. Not to fight it, just to notice it. There it is, the old hunger, looking for something. And then, quietly, ask, what do I actually want right now? Not what your dopamine system wants, you. That question, asked enough times in enough quiet moments, changes everything.